welcome back to the Frontier Western Heritage Channel. I'm Todd Kessner here outside of Bozeman, Montana at the gun range, and today we're going to test a Remington Model 95 chambered in 41 short. When I did the pocket pistol series, one of you guys commented below the video in the comments saying, well, you never compared to 41 short. And I didn't have a 41 short, and so I made it a quest to go find one, and I got a bad habit of wherever I travel, going into old gun stores and gun rooms and any place that might have something special. And a lot of times you don't really find anything, and you turn around and walk out of the store without any big treasures. But just a few months ago, I walked into a place and they had a pair of these, and it's the Remington Over-Under Derringer, also known as the Double Derringer or the Model 95. And one of them was in really great shooting shape, and the other one I picked up for parts for quite a bit less, so that in case I have something break, I've got a backup and I can fix most of the gun with the backup parts. But the pair that I found are both the third model, and the real difference between these from the first model to the fourth model altogether is really where the barrel markings are. And so there was a very early Type 1 that came out in 1866, the first year of production, and it didn't have the ejector for the empty rounds. And so that was fixed, and by 1867 through 1868 there was a later variation of that first model, and it had that side ejector so you could thumb out those shells a little bit easier. The Type 2 was from 1868 to 1888, and it had a two-line marking on top of the barrel. Those earlier ones, the first model, had markings between the two barrels. By the time we got to the second model, it had a two-line marking on top of the barrel. Then if you take a look at the ones that I've got here, these are both that number 3 model from 1888 to 1911 approximately. And it has a single line on top of the barrel that Remington Arms Company, Ilion, New York. And the Type 4, which is a later model yet, has the markings on top of the barrel as well. But they added Remington Arms UMC on top of that. And that was from 1912 to 1935. And the biggest problem with this gun and this particular model of gun is a lot of times this hinge cracked, and you'll find that in a ton of them if you're looking at antiques. And this hinge is absolutely perfect. The bore is decent. It's not great, but it's decent, and I'm thinking it's going to hold up just fine. And I don't know why so many of them cracked, if it's really from wear and tear and sitting on them and having them in your pocket, or if it's because they were weak and you shot too much of a load. I don't know. But I do have 41 short original black powder loads, just like the Rimfire that I shot in 32. I was afraid I could dent those things to pieces and they wouldn't go off. And so I went ahead and got a hold of some Navy Arm 41 Rimfire. And originally this 41 short had a 130 grain bullet in it with about 13 grains of black powder. And these Navy Arm ones, the ones made in Brazil, have the 130 grain bullet. I'm not sure what the powder, it's not black powder, I'm not sure what the powder is. And they are supposed to be loaded low enough so even if you have a black powder period gun, it's not gonna blow it up. But we're gonna test this because this has been known as, it's extremely popular. They made 150,000 of these in 41 short just in the Remington 95 or the Double Derringer. There are also the Colt Thor that shot the 41 short, other pistols as well. And so a lot of people fired this 41 short, known to be a pretty weak cartridge. And we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. We should get out of this particular load, whatever Navy Arms use, we should get a velocity of about 621 feet per second. And we'll check that energy with the 130 grain bullet. So let's take a look and see what we can make happen here. But first, let's take a look at the history of pistols commonly known as Derringers, which started in 1825 when Henry Derringer introduced a small muzzleloading pistol and marketed it as the Philadelphia Derringer. Curiously, it was a 41 caliber muzzleloading Derringer that with a rifle barrel, but the 41 caliber may have set the tone for the future 41 rimfire cartridge that would come later. But this Philadelphia Derringer began as a flintlock pistol and soon switched over to cap lock. and Henry Derringer couldn't produce them fast enough and sold them immediately upon completion. This one pictured is found on Wiki Commons and is credited as the gun used by John Wilkes Booth to assassinate President Lincoln. Henry Derringer spelled his name Derringer with one R, and it's been said that the newspapers misspelled Derringer with two R's after the Lincoln assassination, and that's when the misspelling started. But unfortunately, Derringer pistols were copied and produced by others almost immediately, and the misspelling began well before 1865. The Double R Derringer did become synonymous with almost any small breech-loading pistol, like the Colt Thur and 41 Rimfire, just like the Remington that we're shooting today, the Sharps Pepper Box in a variety of calibers, and of course this Remington Over-Under Derringer in 41 Rimfire short. But it does seem like the Over-Under Remington wins the Hollywood contest from a few dollars more to Silverado and many other Western films. But let's get back to the range. We'll see what we can do here to test it and get some velocity. So we just have a lever that we move to the front. It's a tip-up style type of gun. It's kind of awkward actually. And we're going to put our 41 Rimfire shorts inside of there. Get her hammer back a hair and lock her down with that lever. Let's see what we get. .704. So we're doing better than the 621 that was predicted. Let's try our other barrel here. Okay, I don't know if that's a misfire on the shell or because the firing pin isn't working properly. There we go. 704.5. Is that what it said last time? Alright, we're going to have to try. Let's try this thing again. So I'm going to have to put this loading lever forward, bring my barrels up, use my barrel between the barrel extractor here. Boy, those babies really expanded. Boy, oh boy. I might very well need to get a rod and pop those out. Let's just see if a screwdriver without a bit in it does the trick. There we go. Yeah, no problem. So I got 704.5. I'm going to try a couple more just to see if I can get another reading. We got 719.5. And 672.4. And I don't know if I'm hitting that plate. That plate is probably 20 feet away. And I have no idea where we're going between here and the plate. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pop these guys back out of here. Let's see if the ejector does its job this time. Nope, they're still in there pretty darn hard. I don't want to break anything by pushing too hard. I'm going to put my other glasses on here and just kind of double check for any worse for wear. And there's no issue whatsoever. I don't know if that issue of the hinge cracking so easy was because you fired it a lot or more of a carrying thing. I mean, my guess would be more of a carrying thing, because if this thing got sat on, twisted, anything like that, it would break that hinge pretty easy. But this hinge is looking pretty good. My bore's not bad. So let's set up a couple 2x4s and see how deep this thing goes and how weak of a cartridge it really is, or not as weak of a cartridge as people say it is. Let's take a look and check that out. Alright, so as you can see, this is a pretty close range affair here, but I want to hit the piece of wood. I have no idea where these things are going. This gun is not a gun made for long range. Obviously, this is more of a typical situation across a card table. So let's put a couple rounds in her and see what we get on a piece of 2x4 penetration test here. There we go. What do we got here? Well, we got all the way through the first 2x4 and in out the top of the second one. So that's shows me we got a little power here, but holy cow, does this thing shoot high. No wonder I wasn't hearing it hit the plate out there. Let me pop a couple more and try that again. I'm confused on where that went. And it's still incredibly high, but we got through that first 2x4. And we certainly skinned up the second one, and it started to come out the third one. It's just that it's high, so it's hard to tell how far it would have gone if it had to go through the entire 2x4 straight on instead of angling up. Still though, we're going through two pieces of 2x4 and coming out at the top of the third one. So I'd say this thing has got a little more heat to her than a bad reputation than it seems to have. I guess it depends on the ammo and the manufacturer, obviously. But boy, 41 caliber slug coming at you at 600 feet per second at a table's distance. We sure wouldn't want to get hit with it. It is interesting how low it shoots. You feel like you're going to shoot the edge of the table, and you're still shooting over the top of the 2x4. So that's kind of interesting. Definitely want to aim low with this thing. And I guess at this distance, at a human form, you'd hit the human form. So as you guys got to be used to by now, we're going to take a look at energy in our energy formula, which is again foot-pounds is going to equal the mass of the bullet in grains times the velocity squared in feet per second divided by our constant. So when I take the 130 grain bullet and this Navy Arms ammo that had an average velocity of 698.8 feet per second, square that, divide by our constant, I come up with a foot-pound energy value of 141 foot-pounds. Now I did a little digging and I was able to find some historical data as well that said the original black powder rounds were more like 425 feet per second. So if we throw that into our formula instead, we're going to end up with only 52 foot-pounds of energy. Taking a look back at some of our previous tests with pocket pistols, and if we had that original black powder ammo at 425 feet per second, and the energy then corresponding to that 52 foot-pounds, we're not doing as well as our 32 Smith & Wesson. But if we could get Navy Arms ammo and shot that kind of velocity, we're actually doing as well or nearly as well as our 38 Smith & Wesson. So it just depends on the ammo that you get. I would say that 52 foot-pounds of energy is awfully light for a self-defense pistol, as most people would. 141 foot-pounds isn't all that bad. So again, it's just going to depend on what kind of ammunition you could get. But still, nobody wants to get hit with a 130 grain slug across the poker table distance. Well, that's the Model 95 Remington, what they call the Double Derringer, and over-under double shot Derringer. And again, from this particular one, anywhere from 1888 to 1911, I would not want to get hit with this thing. It's got a bad rap for having the 41 short being one of the what's been described as one of the more useless cartridges out there. But at the same time, we got some pretty decent velocity out of this thing, and they sold 150,000 of them just in this over-under style Derringer, not to mention all the other 41 shorts that are out there. It is very ergonomic. To handle this thing is just really natural. I like the feel of it, and I did have a little trouble with the one barrel didn't want to go off. Every time you cock this gun, it changes the firing pin, so that's why you go from the top barrel to the bottom barrel. So if I fire one and I cock it, the firing pin either raises or lowers depending on what I just shot. So if I shot the top barrel, I cock it again, firing pin drops. Shoot that barrel, cock it again, firing pin comes back up, cock it again, firing pin goes back down. So it just constantly goes back and forth. So if you have a misfire, you can't just cock it again and shoot. You got to cock it, and you got to cock it a second time to get that firing pin back on that misfired cartridge. And they all went off that second time around. So not the best, but it wasn't something that was impossible to get to go off. Again, easy thing to carry around. Of course, in the movies they had them up their sleeve, in your vest pocket, all over the place. Gave you a pretty good little pop here, and my son just fired it, and he was hitting the plate at 25 feet, and so probably a little more accurate than I was thinking. It just shoots incredibly high, and I wasn't hitting the plate the last time through. Did get some pretty good penetration. Went through two 2x4s and kept going out the top, unfortunately, because I just couldn't seem to get this low enough. Seemed like I was going to shoot the table. And it kept going lower and lower, and it still wasn't helping. But went through two 2x4s into a third, and I would say it's something that really would be plenty in self-defense at close range. Actually recovered one of the bullets as well, so it's pretty good size slug, all cleaned up, having gone through the wood, and found it laying right here next to us. So it penetrated, left all of its energy here close to the table, and again, kind of a cool gun to have. And so now we get to compare the 41 short Rimfire to those other pocket pistols. So once again, thanks for the comments. Guys continue to inspire me to go out and buy new guns, which has got the good and the bad. Very happy that I was able to find two of these, one for parts and one for the gun, at a pretty good price. And now I've got a solid 41 short Remington Derringer over-under pistol. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to get notified when the next video comes out. Kind of did a threefer, as it turned out here at the range. Got out here with a whole bunch of guns and shot several of these on the same day. It's a nice day in October. Wanted to take advantage of that. So once again, we just want to tell you thanks for coming. I want to double check because those batteries could die or a lot of bad things could happen. How we good?
Yeah.
Can I talk to the camera from right here? You can kind of see. Can you kind of see me a little bit?
Thanks to your face, yeah.
Yes or no? Okay. I think I missed. That's a sad state of affairs. Is that a bullet from it?
That's really scary, actually. That's pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, scary. Hey, you got it. Nice shooting. Let's see if that other barrel goes off. Oh, you went right under it that time.
Oh, I was aiming at the bottom of the plate.
Wasn't too bad, though.
Oh.
Yeah, we just shot $75 worth of ammo with this stupid thing.